All right. Getting it all plugged in. Plugged. Are you cold?
Huh?
I said, are you cold?
A little bit.
Little baby bit.
Likes to be freezing in the house, even if it's not freezing outside.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that we are almost done with January.
I know.
It's insane. 1 week left of the first month of the new year.
'Tis insane.
'Tis wild. Wild and crazy. All right. Oh, also, sorry, YouTube. Random facts. Did you see that Rim booked her interview? Okay, just making sure.
Already in my planner.
Good. My birthday episode. My birthday.
No, I don't even know what we're talking about.
That was very exciting. I don't have pressure. Yes, I'm sure I want to discard it.
I am glad that your birthday comes first with our new how we're doing things, because then that will help me figure out what to do for mine.
Yeah. I think you might laugh at it. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I'm putting lipstick on because my lips are chapped, so.
Uh-huh. It's okay. I have my lipstick here for what we're doing after.
Oh, nice. It doesn't really look that different, but because it's already like stained from earlier, but it really hurts, so.
I need to I'm thinking of that.
Yeah. Birthday lipstick. Oh, I'm very excited for this. Woo! All right, let me test it out. Testing.
Oh, I need to not sit on my foot.
All right, that sounds good. I'm so excited.
You still are so much quieter than me, by the way.
With in the recording?
Mm-hmm.
That's always how it's been, though.
I thought we got better for a while there, no?
Maybe it was when I was recording on the other computer.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, there was the one time that I forgot to use the microphone and I used the regular computer audio. And that made it louder, but I don't know if it's clearer or if it actually matters, or if maybe I just need to get a Yeti. But ooh, thank you for that reminder.
Turn off notifications.
Silencio.
Please silence your phones.
Oh.
Hey. Ciara, you need to get with it. We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about what?
You said silencio, Bruno, and I said you need to get with the times. We don't talk about Bruno.
Why?
Because you haven't seen Encanto yet, and then you would understand.
But I'm quoting Luca, which is like.
Oh, I know, but there's Bruno in Encanto too, and a very popular saying from the movie is we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm still living back in last year's Pixar.
2020, right?
I think it came out last year. It came out in like July of last year, right before we interviewed Amanda. It was like fresh.
Oh, that's right, because Okay.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, record. I hope it's working.
I'm so excited. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that was a quick clap. I wasn't ready for that.
Sorry, I'm very pumped.
Oh, I start? Oh, okay. Welcome back to the In Raw Life podcast. I am stoked that you're here today because this is a very special episode, even though I have absolutely no idea what we're talking about today. But the reason why it's so special is because, and the reason why I have no idea what we're talking about is because it's Ciara's birthday episodes. Happy birthday to you. So in case you're new to the podcast and you've never heard one of our birthday episodes before, when we started the podcast, we decided, hey, it would be a fun way to celebrate birthdays is by the birthday girl deciding the topic and it being a surprise to the other person. Like, how much more fun could it be than that? So that is what we are gifting you and Ciara today. So, but before Ciara reveals what her birthday topic is.
Oh, it'll be a grand reveal.
Oh, man. Okay. I would like to remind you, whether this is your first time listening or your 100th, because I'm pretty sure are we at, what number are we at?
We're in the 90s.
Okay, or your 90th time listening. We would like to remind you to please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening or watching on YouTube. Because when you subscribe or you give us a rating or you give us a little review or all of the above, that just helps all of the platforms to know, whoa, we need to pay attention to this podcast. This is something that people want to know about, they want to hear, they want to listen to, and they're going to share it to more people. And you can also share it to people yourself on Instagram, Facebook, text message, wherever you share things with people, so that they can come and rate and review and subscribe and get the word out there.
And we would also love for you to be part of our incredible community. If you love the energy that we bring to this podcast, then you will also love our community because it's full of other women who are energetic, in love with life, or maybe not quite in love with life, but on the epic journey of getting there. And it's actually less epic when you join our community. It's not such a challenge to enjoy life. Our community brings about an ability to just enjoy life more. And we'd love for you to be part of it. So you can join us on Facebook. It's called Work-Life Balance for Empowered Unstoppable Women. There is a link in the show notes, but it's also facebook.com/group/empowered unstoppable women. And you can be part of our community, which we would absolutely love to have you, because our community is special and it is growing and it is just full of awesome women who are doing big, brave things and chasing their dreams and making it happen and relying on the community for support. So we'd love to have you there. Okay, what, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, go. This is your time to shine, girl.
I guess I will take the reins from here then. All right. So actually, it's not that crazy big of a reveal. But the funny thing about this episode is that you almost took away the topic from me last week. And I was like, oh, no. Because in theme, I'm keeping it in theme with the month, which is all about affirmations. And last week, you're like, well, what if we talk about, I don't remember how you worded it exactly, but you're like, what if we talk about like our own affirmations that we want to try to achieve or something like that? Yeah. So it's similar to that idea, but a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder, and a whole lot raw in theme. Oh, we're supposed to do a reality check.
Yeah, we are.
Well, I will give you full premise of today's birthday episode after our reality check.
After the message from our sponsor.
All right. So, Jess, what is your current rawality?
I mean, my full rawality, but my rawality that I'm willing to share today, because as I've said before, I don't believe in, not that I have to be through it, but I don't believe in sharing something when I'm so in the thick of it where like it's hazy for me. So there's a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. A lot of questions and turmoil and like inner crap is the best, easiest way to put it. But something that is exciting that I struggle a little bit to be fully excited about because of everything else going on is the fact that by the time this episode airs, I am like 14 weeks pregnant. By the time this airs, 14, 15 weeks pregnant with my second child, which is pretty huge because I have been wanting this since, you know, my first one or before her, because I've always wanted multiple children. And yeah, and I mean, it was planned, it was purposely happened. And I am incredibly excited about it. And my daughter is like over the moon and doesn't stop talking about it. But it's like a strange thing at the same time because of all this like weird other stuff that's going on in my life. And the fact that like the first pregnancy, I was 26, I was surrounded by like people in Facebook world and in real life that were like, you know, oh, excited about having kids and like announcing it on Facebook. And I was married at the time and like all this stuff. And it's like such a different thing this time. You know, it's 10 years later, literally. And it's like, I'm not married, which doesn't really bother me, but it's like, it's not the same like sharing feeling. It's weird. I'm like, do I even like mention something on Facebook? I don't really do like that anymore. What do I, but like the people that know me that I don't talk to often, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, poof, there's another child. So it's like this, it's just a whole weird feeling. But I'm super excited about it. It's going to be literally life changing. And yeah, so that is what is going on. At least a small part of what is going on in my world right now. And as Emmeline says, she keeps mentioning how Gray is going to be a big cousin. Because he's youngest of like, you know, the friend cousins or any cousin that she knows. So she just keeps talking about how he's going to be a big cousin now.
Oh my gosh, that is really funny. Oh, I'll let him know. Gray, you gonna be big cousin. Be big cousin? He puts everything in a question mark these days.
I love it.
Big cousin? Anyway, well, that's, yeah.
Surprise!
Hey. Well, my reality is interesting, I guess. For one, I just came off of this fast in January where I gave up social media and alcohol. And because both of those I felt like I would turn to as like coping mechanisms. And I say alcohol, like not as I didn't get drunk, but like, you know, when things get emotional, I think since the start of quarantine, I started like when things were just tough. I'm like, well, at first I was like, well, this is the weirdest shit I've ever dealt with. So I'm gonna pour me a drink. You know, like that's what I feel like everybody did at the beginning of quarantine. And I didn't even realize it, but it had kind of just become my go-to. Like if I heard some sad news or if like the kids were being extra difficult, I would just like pour a drink and I wouldn't get drunk. It was just like to take the edge off. Which I still can appreciate a good edge taking off, but I wanted to see how strong I could be without taking the edge off, you know, like to process my emotions and deal with the hard stuff versus just like taking the edge off and kind of letting it go. So it wasn't like I was like sobbing a bunch or anything. I just was like kind of, I don't know, it was a reliance on my strength. And I was able to see like how strong I really am, that I don't, you know, if not given some source to take an edge off, I'm strong enough to power through it. And it actually, because I also wasn't on social media, which I can tend to turn to just to like mute emotions, like, oh, this is such a like whatever kind of a day. I'm just going to scroll social media to kind of like give my mind a break from all the other stuff. But instead, it was really cool. And I actually am trying to not go back to scrolling social media. Like, I don't mind posting or connecting via Messenger, but I don't want to scroll social media anymore because it was like it took up a lot of my time. And in lieu of that, I was able to like process the emotions and actually like come up with creative resolutions or I became really introspective and I learned a lot about myself in this time. So yeah, January was like a really good month for me. It was challenging, but it wasn't like hard. It was like a good challenging month. And yeah, so that's, I would say, like the biggest part of my reality is just like a lot of self-reflection and a lot of growth and greater appreciation for who I am and what I'm capable of doing on my own to handle through. or through accountability, like not just on my own, like through prayer and reaching out to friends instead of drowning the emotions, basically. So
And you had at least one friend that you were like taking something on with through January, right? Did you guys like check in with?
I had 3 other people that were doing it
Yeah.
with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
we all were doing different things,
Accountability.
but accountability made a huge difference. Yeah. And like
Mhm.
it was cool to be able to turn to any like those friends and any friend really when like emotions were high instead of just like drowning it. I'm like, okay, let me process through this and like discuss it with somebody and figure out what's actually happening here. Because
Mhm.
I love hearing other people's perspectives of what's going on because it gives me a different insight to what might be happening that I don't see myself. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was me. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready for the official theme of the episode?
Yeah.
Okay. For this episode, I want each of us to declare to choose a big, raw, vulnerable affirmation for ourselves. So the rules of the game are we have to pick an affirmation, like our affirmations can be completely different from each other's, but we need to pick an affirmation that's going to be extremely challenging for us to believe and embody, but that we absolutely need to because the lack of that belief is holding us back from something bigger.
Hmm.
Okay.
I like that.
You like it?
Yeah, I totally tried to steal this last week.
You did. You did. And I was like,
But I'm glad that we're doing it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kept the theme. And but it's still like it's more about us and it's caused like I want it to be raw. I want to be able to like share very vulnerably here why we are weak in this like it's the same reason we do the reality checks, which is to show like, hey, we don't have it all together all the time, and that's okay. But like here's something that I'm actually really struggling with because that's the thing too, like we're coaching all these women on how to be like the best versions of themselves and how to have like speak these affirmations confidently. And like while we say all of that with confidence, it's not like we're like we've escaped the like we've fully surpassed all of that and we are so incredibly confident or whatever that we don't need our own affirmation. So I mean I think we're definitely stronger because we've been
I was gonna say we're just the level above. Like that's the whole. Like that's any coach. They're at least one step above.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that I've realized like in the coaching world is I think a lot of times coaches feel like they have to look like they have it all together. Otherwise, how are they going to get a client? Because nobody wants to learn from somebody who's not perfect. But none of us are perfect. And that's why I want to talk about that stuff. Like, yes, I've surpassed some of the like beginning affirmations that I really struggled with when I was first starting my business and first gaining an appreciation for myself. But there are still some big affirmations that I need to embody that I struggle with all the time. And I think we all have them in different aspects. And so I thought it'd be cool if we could talk about this today.
And then we can keep checking in on it. How we're
Yeah,
doing.
we should. I love that.
I like it.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Yes. So like I have something in mind, which is something I've been wanting to like do anyway. But I feel like the word that I have for it isn't even like strong enough. So maybe
well, let's hear it.
So like I want to embody the like I am at peace with whatever is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want to use the word like somehow like the idea of like being unattached from like what like no matter what like the outcome or what's going on, like I am at peace no matter what. And it's funny because I've really tried like this is something that I've said to myself in the past, especially like when I was going through my divorce and like all of that stuff. It was like I just want like peace of mind, peace of like like peace over all the things. So like I want to, but I feel like at peace isn't strong enough for what I'm trying to get to.
Can you be vulnerable and share like what's the pain going on so that we can like really to pick the best. I mean, you don't have to like air all the dirty laundry, but just talk about like your emotions and what you feel, and then we can figure it out.
Well, I mean, I know I'm someone who likes to be in control of like myself and my thoughts and my feelings. And therefore that can come off as like controlling situations sometimes or whatever when that's not my intention. which sucks because I don't want to come off that way. But like, I want like the unattachment from like, you know, if there's tension between me and like my boyfriend or you or anybody, like I want unattachment from what's going on so that no matter what, like I know I'm okay and I'm at peace. And like other, like, you know, like the vibing higher, like I don't need to, like my emotions and how I'm feeling throughout the day doesn't depend on other people's actions or words or inaction or anything, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So like at the end of the day, how do you want to feel? Like say that you fought with Jed, you fought with me, and you fought with Emmy, and there's like weird tension between you and your dad. At the end of the day, that's a lot all at once.
A lot of things.
So worst case scenario,
Yes.
how do you want to feel after all of that?
I want to be able to go to bed with a clear mind. Like
Your mind, is that what you said?
clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that's not going to be bogging me down. Because one, like I know whatever the outcome is going to be, whatever it is, not knowing the outcome, it will be okay. And for it not to be like constantly on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I am at peace. I don't know. Just doesn't feel strong enough for it. Like it's such a big thing.
Feel like I had a few thoughts. One is I am letting go of expectations. Another is I am releasing control.
Mm-hmm.
And another one was I am content, which is kind of just like
It's kind of like being at peace, yeah.
Yeah. And let's think.
I am at peace with letting go of control.
I'm at peace with letting go of control. Yeah. Or I am surrendering my expectations. I feel like the release is like part of like you know like you want control, and the best visual in that moment is like releasing. My mom used to always say like whenever you want something really bad, you clutch your hands, but if you just let go, that's when it can like fall into it. And so like I don't, that visual of releasing to me is always so powerful. But
yeah,
I'm releasing expectations, I'm releasing control. Oh, like I have something else I can't figure out.
Like on the tip of your tongue. Yeah.
Like I'm bring to the peace of not knowing what comes next. Like it's okay. Like I'm choosing peace in not knowing what happens next, or in not having control. Well, we'll have to tune it to make it a strong affirmation and then print it out.
Yes. We can circle back too. But that's my idea.
I like it.
Because I mean, I was even thinking about, you know, like when like relationships, that's part of what's going on in my life right now. It's like like they, you know, like there's like the attachment styles, and this is kind of related to like the whole attachment thing, like avoidant and anxious, and then there's like the secure. You never heard of this?
I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-mm.
Okay, well, it's a good thing we're in February. I mean, I know it's the end of February, but like there's, you know, like there's like the love languages, but there's all these other things that like help with relationships, and there's attachment styles. And like technically, like the book that I listened to a few years ago, there's like 3 attachment styles, but then I found someone on Instagram that talks about it a lot, and there's like some like caveats and like, you know, different parts. But the basic idea is there are people who are avoidant. So like when stuff comes up in a relationship, they avoid and shut down at all costs and potentially like go away. There's secure people because they are fully secure in whatever and like don't need to, you know, go either way. And then there's the anxious attachment, which is like they try to like hold on and get more control and all of that. And you can go from usually like it's like anxious and avoidant can become secure. It's not, I don't think it's typical that it's like all reversible. But so like a little bit with like that, and I know that I'm more of like tend to be the anxious, and I've gotten myself to secure before, but like I can still like go towards the anxious, which again is wanting control in like the way of like holding on control. And then it's just the idea, like I've heard this idea before and I was even looking it up, like just being unattached, like, because nobody knows what's going to happen ever. Like obviously I was married for 9 years. That didn't guarantee that I was staying married to that person forever, no matter how much I wanted it, no matter what I did. So like just being unattached to like the future plans. Of course, that's what I want and that's what I intend to do, but being unattached from that so that we can like just be in the here and now is the idea. And I'm not even explaining it enough, but like that's the basic.
No,
So, like,
that actually gave me more thoughts because, okay, so for one, you said that like you're more of the anxious person. Well, I'm definitely more of the avoidant. Like if I'm in an unhealthy space and Jay and I are fighting, I walk in the other room and he's like, why did you just shut down? And I'm like, I think you know why. But like as we've grown in our relationship, it has become to a place. It has come to more of a place of security. But now and then, like I don't know, I'm in a bad mental space, my confidence is low, whatever the case may be, and I revert to avoidance. But for me, it's also control because I can control the situation by not engaging in the situation. So it like really.
Yeah, they're both control. The anxious is like holding on control. Avoidant is like, I'm going to control myself by pushing you away.
Right. So it's interesting to me. Like, I think that is like a natural desire in all of us, no matter like where we fall. We are all desiring to have some sense of control of our life. But what I was thinking as you were saying that is the same way that like I pick a word of the year every year. I have a few friends that do it. And one of my friends never gets a word of the year. She always ends up with a phrase. Like she's always like, okay, what's my word for the year? And it always ends up being a phrase. And one of her phrases a few years ago was not, it sounds cliche, but it went against the cliche in a way. So her phrase was, I am expecting the unexpected. I guess that's the affirmation. It was expect the unexpected. And like usually when I hear that, first of all, I think of Big Brother. And second of all, I think like you never know what could happen. So like, get ready, be always ready. But for her, it was kind of the opposite, where she's like, I think it was the year that like she's a friend from California, and I think that was the year I left California. So like it was, and she was one of my like we were inseparable in California. So it was going to be a huge change for her that I was leaving, and there's just a bunch going on. So for her, it was like that was her way of releasing control of what to expect, and just know that anything can happen, and no matter what, it's working together for her good. So that's another option. I don't know if it feels the same way to you or not, but anyway, those are my thoughts on what your affirmations could be.
Yeah. To ruminate on it.
Okay,
what's yours?
If we don't figure it out this episode, we'll just put it in the show notes.
BTW,
the answer at the end of this episode is,
keep listening and we'll announce it later.
Okay, so mine is kind of funny. Okay, so like setting myself up for vulnerability. There's this new job that is available in my borough, and because in New Jersey we live in boroughs, which is so cute. And when I saw it, my husband sent it to me, and like I have this secret desire to one day be the mayor of my borough, because like who would not want to be mayor of a tiny little small town in New Jersey? Like definitely me. We currently have a female mayor. She's incredible, and it's like she's living the dream. Anyway, so when Jay sent me the job opening it was an administrative assistant for the borough, and he's like, this could be your next step to becoming mayor. And then he quoted Back to the Future and was like, Mayor Ciara Boyce. I like the sound of that. Anyway, so so I was like, yeah, this sounds so fun. Like, I would love to get to know my community more, because we moved here and I haven't done anything because of COVID. Like, I just don't see people at all. I told Jay, like, all of my closest friends are people that I talk to from miles away, because I don't have any friends here. And we're getting ready to put the kids back in school, and I like really need to start going to a church. I'm longing for community, and I felt like this would be a great opportunity to do that. However, as a 7, having a typical like desk job feels very like limiting, and which is scary. And then like it's administrative assistant, which I'm overqualified for. So I'm like, what is that going to look like if I become an administrative assistant? Like what kind of label is that going to give me? And then further, I also like, to be completely vulnerable, I don't usually keep office jobs very consistently because I'm bored or easily distracted or feel limited by the office job. And so I told Jay, like, I don't really want to, like, I would feel terrible if I accepted this job and then 6 months later was like, oh, I'm sorry, I found a reason to quit again, because I always find a very justifiable reason to quit something. But I mean, and they wouldn't know that. They would just be like, oh, it was fun. What about, remember that Ciara girl? She was here for 6 months. That was nice. But like they'd have to hire all over again. And like, I would be leaving. It just felt like, I felt like I'm too old to be so irresponsible as to take a 6 month to a year job that I'm just going to leave. I shouldn't even do it at all. And what Jay said to me was, I think you should stop looking at the what if people look at me weird because I'm an administrative assistant. What if I hate this job in 6 months and want to leave? And what if it doesn't work out or it's too limiting or whatever? Like, and start looking at the positive what ifs. Like, what if I love it? What if I stay there for years? What if I meet my new best friend there? And what if I get so attached to the community that I'm like overjoyed? And I was like, wow, I can't believe, like, I'm usually the positive one and he's the realist. And he's like, hello, like, have you even thought about the good options that could come from this? And then he said to me, every year he has like this thought of like, this is the year of, like, one year it was like, this is the year we're saying no to everything. Like, if it doesn't actually serve us, we're not going to say yes out of obligation. And that was a few years ago. Which now I have no problem saying no, if it's out of obligation. So this year he's like, it's not so much a we thing, it's a you thing. And he said, this year I don't want you to use the word failure anymore, because that is an identity that I cling to a lot. I look at every venture I've ever started and see it as a failure. When we struggle with this business, I instantly am like, oh, I'm a failure. It's never going to work out. Like I moved to LA to be an actress and I never even pursued it because I was so afraid of failing that I didn't even pursue it. So I ended up failing, but I didn't even have a chance. Like I didn't even go to auditions because I didn't want to fail the auditions. So instead I failed as a whole, which is just like so overwhelming to me. But anyway, he said that like I'm not allowed to use the word failure anymore. I'm not allowed to look at my life as a failure. And I'm not allowed to identify as a failure. And I really love that. So my affirmation is, I am really proud of who I am. And that sounds so silly. Like, it may sound like, oh, of course, like everybody's proud. Yeah, like that's an easy one. But no, that's, even saying it out loud is so hard for me, because I'm like, am I really proud of who I am? Like all of it, and like, so, sometimes I will say to him like, oh, I just feel like I'm failing as a mom. I feel like I'm failing as a wife. I feel like I'm failing as a business owner. And he's like, stop. Like, why do you put that on yourself? Nobody's thinking that except for you. And so anyway, the whole idea is that I need to stop putting this pressure on myself that I'm not enough or that I'm failing at anything. And instead, I'm changing my vocabulary about the way I speak over myself to say, I am really proud of who I am. And that's going to be a hard one, but I accept.
Well, that's like the beautiful thing about choosing an affirmation, is that you don't fully believe it yet, but you want to, like you wholeheartedly want to. And I just have to say, like sitting here, I'm like, oh, my pregnancy hormones, I'm going to blame it on them. Like the things that we're both working towards and talking about, like it started tearing up. But yeah, that's the whole point of affirmations, is you don't believe it yet, but you either do believe or want to believe that it can be true about you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you keep, back to James Clear, you keep giving votes to the fact, at least more votes than not, that it is true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what she means by that is, you take, like, the more you say it about yourself, the easier it is to take action on doing things that a person that you want to identify as would do. So like for me, if I'm really proud of myself, I am going to choose to not say mean things about myself. And I'm also going to choose to probably take some bold steps in doing things that I'm proud of. Like, ooh, should I, like, actually, I submitted the application to the job today because I'm proud of myself and I'm going to proudly apply to this job. I also have like forever and a day been putting off getting headshots because for acting, because that would mean that I would have to start putting my headshots and resume out there. And yesterday I was like telling a friend, I'm just like, I'm like, I should just do it. I could just do it. And then I was like, why am I not just doing it? Like here my friend is saying, but like, why are you holding yourself back? You're totally capable. And I'm just like, yeah. No, like if the only way to actually take action towards something you want is to take action. And so, and honestly, the sooner you do it, the less hard it is because you're not thinking back and forth as to whether or not you should do it. I mean, I had until February 1st to fill out this application. And one of my friends was like, did you fill it out yet? She's like, I want to be mad at you. I'm not mad at you yet, but I want to be mad at you. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to fill it out. I'm just procrastinating. And I'm like, why am I procrastinating? I can just get it done. And then, like, because when I wasn't getting it done, I kept thinking, maybe I won't apply. Maybe I shouldn't apply. But now it's in. I don't even have to think about it anymore. Maybe I won't get it. Maybe I won't accept it. But I don't have to think about that until I get an interview, you know? So it's easy. It's done.
Yeah.
Thoughts once.
First of all, I'm super proud of you for getting it in way before the deadline.
Yeah.
Second of all, like even the back to the votes thing, it's like taking the action, yes, and obviously I'm huge on taking action, but it's even just like when you're saying it to yourself or out loud and like you feel yourself going, like taking the action to say, no, this is true.
Yeah.
And then when you take the action, you can back that up, being like, see what I did there? Like, obviously, I'm proud of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I feel so good. It's like, I don't know, like, so, I mean, I guess it sounds funny because mine is being proud of myself, but you feel proud of yourself when you stick to your affirmation. Like, you're like, yeah, I did it.
See, you're proving it.
I believed in myself in that moment, or I totally released that expectation. Woohoo! I'm proud.
Yeah. So what should my official one be so I can start using it? I think something with release. It needs to be the
I'm releasing expectations. I'm releasing control. I'm releasing the need for peace and just accepting it. What?
I guess, or yeah, I don't know. I feel like expectations makes the most sense.
I'm releasing expectations.
Yeah.
Is it hard to say?
No.
It doesn't mean that it's the not the one. It could still be the one.
I am releasing. We'll figure out what the second part is.
Ooh, maybe that's just it.
Releasing.
Yeah, like that's because that can come in all moments. Like when you're at the end of the night and you're like really like, man, I just wish I was at peace. Why am I not at peace? Like, it's okay. I'm releasing. Like, I'm releasing it all. I'm releasing my demand for peace. I'm releasing my demand for control. I'm releasing this desire to have it all figured out or whatever. You can fill in the blank as you go.
Yeah, I am releasing.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Ta-da! We did it.
Well, dang, if that wasn't another efficient episode, even with a reality check and a birthday up, I am proud of us. Well, thanks for always listening and always coming back and supporting this podcast. We really appreciate it. We actually would also love for you to be part of the podcast, and you can do that by sending a clip of what balance means to you to hello@inrawlife.com. So just, you can record yourself saying hello, not saying hello. You can record yourself saying
hello.
Balance means, fill in the blank, and we might feature you at the beginning of the show.
Until next week, first of all, make sure that you send a happy birthday message to Ciara wherever you can think of sending something to her, including our email address that she just said. think about what it is that you might need to be affirming over yourself, and then start doing it. And think of what, take a note for me and think of what you could be releasing, and then be proud of it. Bye.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, it's so annoying when my mouse dies.
I know without failing.
Well, just like in between. No, it's fine now. Bye, YouTube.
Your mouse goes on and off?